Hello, I'm Stewart. This is the second video of our epic West Coast USA road trip. In our first video, we drove from Glasgow down to London. We got on a plane to San Francisco and we toured the sites of Alcatraz and the Golden Gate Bridge, all that stuff. We have now loaded up our Chrysler Pacifica and we're heading away from Cal the Fog, looking for some Californian sun. We're driving down California State Route 1, the Pacific Coast Highway. We're going to stop off at the home of vampires and surfing, Santa Cruz, and then we'll overnight at the Monterey Peninsula. We'll drive the famous 17-mile drive and see the golf courses of Pebble Beach and Cyprus Point. We'll then head down the coast once again, making our way to our next base at Los Angeles. Welcome to our epic West Coast USA road trip. Day 6. Of course, the easy way to get to LA is to jump on Interstate 5, but that's a boring straight road down the Central Valley of California. Our route today is heading from Oakland through San Francisco to Pacifica, where we'll pick up California State Route 1, the Pacific Coast Highway. We'll then drive down to our first stop at Santa Cruz, and then on to Marina just outside Monterey, where we'll overnight. After driving around the incredible 17-mile drive, we took the 101 inland because the coastal road was closed due to a landslide at Big Sur. It was closed for 3 years and it opened just a few weeks after we were there. The 101 then rejoins the coast road at El Capitan and we followed it all the way to LA. From Alameda, we first drove over the Oakland Bay Bridge. Remember, it's a toll road only in the direction of San Francisco, so this costs us $8. As we weren't using toll bridges for the rest of the holiday, we just allowed the bridge to charge the car hire company and we paid off the bill a few months later. In total, for the holiday, our tolls came to $34 for using 4 bridges and Hertz added a charge of $30 handling fee. We worked our way through the southern San Francisco suburbs on the I-80, US 101 and I-280 before picking up the Californian one near Pacifica. Our car had Apple AirPlay included with it, and we'd occasionally use it for guidance, especially in San Francisco as it would help you get into the correct lane well ahead of the game. However, we would have got by without it as the roads are very well signposted. Another note about phones, we bought Airalo eSIMs for everybody's phones. That was much cheaper than using the roaming packages with our providers back home. This is not a sponsored video. However, we've used them a few times on our trips in America and we think they're great. We made one stop at Pescadero Beach. It had pretty rudimentary toilets, but it gave us a chance to take in the spectacular views of the Pacific coast smashing against the land. And for the first time, blue sky, warmth, no fog. The drive to Santa Cruz was 90 miles and it took us 2.5 hours. left San Francisco and drove down US 1, the Pacific Coast Highway, and coming a bit of what's like a pilgrimage for me, and there's two reasons we're here. One of my favourite films growing up was The Lost Boys. It was a sort of coming of age time. It was launched at the right time for me. It had great music, it was youth themed, and it was about vampires, and it was filmed in a place called it was set in a place called Santa Clara. And the other reason I'm here is because I like my snowboarding. The first snowboard I ever bought was a Santa Cruz snowboard, and we're here at what is the home of vampires and the home of surfing, Santa Cruz.
People are strange when you're a stranger. Faces look ugly when you're alone. Women seem wicked when you're unwanted. Streets are uneven when you're down, when you're strange. Faces come out of the rain when you're strange. No one remembers your name when you're strange, when you're strange, when you're strange. People are strange when you're a stranger. Faces look ugly when you're alone. Women seem wicked when you're unwanted. Streets are uneven when you're down, when you're strange. Faces come out of the rain when you're strange. No one remembers your name when you're strange, when you're strange, when you're strange. Alright, yeah.
In The Lost Boys, there's a famous scene where Michael is persuaded to hang from a railway bridge by David and his gang, and here's me walking across a totally different bridge. That scene was actually filmed elsewhere, and we'll come to that in the next video.
When you're strange, faces come out of the rain. When you're strange, no one remembers your name. When you're strange, when you're strange, when you're strange.
There are two large paid for car parks next to the boardwalk. They charge a flat fee of $20 per day, which is fine for a day's parking, but we were only intending on stopping there for a couple of hours at most. So instead we parked for free at East Cliff and walked in over the bridge. The beach at Santa Cruz was just so wide and empty. The water was lovely for a paddle, and as usual my son misjudged the depth. Afterwards we went up to the boardwalk where many scenes were filmed, including the carousel where we first met David and his gang, and the concert where Michael first saw Star. Just over there, a large topless man, oiled up, playing the saxophone. Something that wasn't in the film, there's a tourist train on the boardwalk which then drives down the middle of the road. Across from the beach, in the middle of the water, is what's called the wharf. Essentially a large pier, large enough that it's got a car park on it, and it's only $1 for an hour's parking. If you went to San Francisco and couldn't get near the sea lions at Pier 39, well, don't worry, because here you can get even closer to them. The wharf is also where two important scenes were filmed. The exterior of the Frog Brothers comic book store, which is now a tourist shop where I bought a cool t-shirt, and at the end of the wharf, where there's a seafood restaurant where Lucy and Max go on their first date. The interior of the Frog Brothers comic book store was actually filmed elsewhere at a building sadly demolished after the 1989 Loma Prieta earthquake. We had only anticipated a short stop off for about an hour at Santa Cruz. We heard it was a bit sleazy and run down, not worth a great deal of time. It was anything but. It's a fantastic seaside town. We spent all afternoon there and we wish we stayed for longer. I really want to come back and stay for a few days, try surfing and see the rest of the filming locations. But one thing about going to Santa Carla I never could stomach. All the damn vampires. Day 7. Our later than expected departure meant we hit rush hour traffic and we were very late getting to our overnight stop at the Radisson Marina Beach. The original plan was to drive to Pebble Beach on day 6, which meant we would have had more time on the Monterey Peninsula and visited the town of Carmel-on-Sea. We spent so much time at Santa Cruz, this meant we didn't get to 17 Mile Drive until the next morning. So what is 17 Mile Drive? It's a scenic drive around the coastline of the Monterey Peninsula. It winds its way through the giant trees, the mansions of the rich and famous, and the golf courses of Spyglass Hill, Cyprus Point, and Pebble Beach. It cost $12 to enter, and it took us 2 hours to drive with all the stops along the way. First stop was the beach at Spanish Bay. As you can see, the marine layer returned, and we found lots of pebbles piled up, so we were contractually obliged to make some more. I just want to give a bit of context as to why I'm getting excited about the next bit. I'm a massive golf nerd, and I'm about to drive into the Golf in Heaven, one of the most famous stretches of golf holes in the world, and the 17 Mile Drive winds right through the middle of them. In the early 1900s, Dr. Alastair MacKenzie was making a name for himself designing some of the top new courses in England and Scotland. Moortown, Pollock, Duff House. By the 1920s, he was the golf architect of choice, and as real estate projects were springing up on the west coast, the good doctor was called in. Nothing improves real estate prices better than a golf course, and at Cyprus Point they had a parcel of sandy land, useless for building houses, but one of the greatest stretches of links golf land in the world. Cyprus Point opened in 1928. The following year, the US Amateur was held for the first time at the neighbouring Pebble Beach. Arguably the greatest player of all time, Bobby Jones, was playing in it. Actually, there's no argument, Bobby Jones was the only player to win the Grand Slam, all 4 majors, in a single year. Anyway, during this trip, Jones played Cyprus and was so impressed he invited the architect MacKenzie to work on a parcel of land he had just purchased in Augusta, Georgia. The videos of me driving a car through the land doesn't do the scenery justice, so I've linked a video to a fried egg documentary on the course which includes some stunning drone footage. Just a few weeks after our visit, the 50th Walker Cup matches were played at the course. The Great Amateur Tournament pits Great Britain and Ireland against the United States, and a spirited performance by GB and I kept the hosts honest until the very final singles session. If you're not interested in golf, 17 Mile Drive still has a lot to offer. The premier stopping point, and indeed the logo for the entire Pebble Beach estate, is the lone cypress, an almost 300-year-old cypress tree that sits alone on a rocky outcrop. Unfortunately, it's taken a bit of a battering in recent years, losing some limbs in 2019. It has already outlived most other cypress trees in the area, but maybe not for much longer. At the end of the drive lives Pebble Beach Golf Course itself. We parked up at the pro shop and had a look around before making our way down to the 18th green. Pebble Beach is classed as a public golf course. That means it's not a private members country club. Anybody can play it if they pay the green fee. And by the way, the green fee is a whopping $1,000. Pebble Beach hosts an annual golf tournament on the PGA Tour called the AT&T Pebble Beach Pro-Am. It was previously known as the Bing Crosby Clambake. Pebble Beach has hosted 15 major golf tournaments, including the US Women's Open, the Women's Amateur, the PGA Championship, and 6-time host of the US Open. In 1982, Tom Watson famously held off Jack Nicklaus with a chip in at the 17th hole. In 2000, Tiger Woods lapped the field. His score of 12 under par set scoring records and was 15 shots better than the second place Ernie Els and Miguel Angel Jimenez. It remains the largest winning margin in any major. And in 2010, Northern Ireland's Graham McDowell was the first European in 40 years to win the US Open. The US Open is scheduled to return to Pebble Beach in 2027. We left 17 Mile Drive and headed inland to pick up US 101 at Salinas. Almost immediately after crossing the hills at Laguna Sec racetrack, the marine layer disappeared and it was blue skies for the remainder of the holiday. The 101 runs along the bottom of a valley, the Salinas Valley, which due to its market garden crops is known as America's Salad Bowl. It's also the setting of the John Steinbeck novels Of Mice and Men and East of Eden. This was the type of driving we were expecting for much of the holiday. Long, straight freeways, just like the movies. The further south we drove, the more arid the climate became and the higher the temperature rose. The sat-nav tried to make us take a shortcut here, but we stayed with the 101 over the hills and was rewarded by some spectacular views. Incidentally, here we're not too far away from Michael Jackson's Neverland Ranch.
Those work ahead. I sure hope it does.
Hello. Hello. Oh no. We then picked up the Pacific coast again near El Capitan, and it hugs the ocean past Santa Barbara all the way to Santa Monica. All the way down this section of the 101, there are cast iron bells every few miles. These are old route markers for El Camino Real, or the King's Highway, a 250-year-old 600-mile route originally dating back to the Spanish missions of New Spain. Driving into the northern suburbs of LA at sunset, we passed to the north of the Hollywood sign, so we couldn't see it. But even still, to drive along the freeway, and the signs just... there were so many familiar names. Hollywood, Burbank, Studios, Santa Monica, Pasadena. As we made our way down the interstate to Anaheim, it was just like the movies. Back end of the Hollywood sign. The San Francisco to LA section clocked in at 510 miles, which was 9 hours of driving spread over the 2 days. We only scratched the surface, and I'm sure there were plenty of sites we drove past and would need a closer inspection. We're now going to spend the next 9 days based near Anaheim, exploring LA, seeing the sights of Tinseltown, going to the theme parks, and recreating scenes from movies and Grand Theft Auto. That'll be in the next video. Thanks for watching.